Canada's Auditor General released 5 new reports that cover a range of topics, but Karen Hogan says they all have one thing in common. The government needs to do a better job of tracking its own data and assessing how it responds to problems.
Weak or underused data often affects departments and agencies' ability to make well-informed decisions, monitor and report on results, and to assess the effectiveness of their decisions. Ultimately, these blind spots identified in all of our reports reduce the public service's ability to deliver programs and services that meet people's needs.
Karina Romans following this story and the government's response. Karina, what stood out for you in all of these reports?
Well, one of the reports is on the Immigration Department, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship. Very long wait times for those waiting and applying for permanent residency. The Auditor General audited 8 programs that covered the economic, family reunification, humanitarian streams. None of them are meeting service level expectations, but it's worst for refugees. We're talking 30 months of waiting for a decision. And as of the end of 2022, 99,000 refugees still waiting for a decision, with no access to the new online tool that has also been brought in to help. That doesn't work for the refugees, just the other streams. And she says if it continues, many of these people are going to be waiting years more. And she said, yes, there's some factors outside of the government's control, especially in other countries, but that doesn't mean that things cannot be improved. Have a listen.
What we found is that most of the delays were really being caused by inefficient management practices around applications and managing the inventory. I mean, it's real that there's a backlog of inventory that at times is greater than the immigration level for a given year, but the department has the ability to improve how they process applications, but also to be more transparent with applicants about what their wait time might actually be.
Now, some of the backlog is due to the pandemic, but some of the backlog is also because they resource different geographical locations differently, and yet they seem to be having applications go to the least resourced geographical locations, which of course doesn't make sense and is why that backlog is increasing. But as well, there's an issue of course, emergency immigration programs, whether we're talking about wars like Ukraine and Afghanistan, or with Syria a number of years ago. And so the new immigration minister, Mark Miller, was asked about this, whether this sort of triaging of priorities when governments change priorities, whether they're aware of the effect that has on people already in the queue to come in. Have a listen to what he had to say.
We've made a number of public policy choices as a government, and I think Canadians expected us to, whether it's with respect to Ukraine or Syria or Afghanistan. When we see funnels getting blocked, that we are able to reorient and process in a way that is a little more efficient with a global system that doesn't necessarily always require people to be on the ground. There are some things that we need people on the ground, and I think Boris mentioned the physical presence of people on the ground can seem discriminatory one country vis-a-vis another, and I think there's some reflection to be done there.